Samsaradava nalalilaloka Tranaya karuna gana ganatvam Praptasya kayana gunanavasya Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinam Mahaprabhu Kirtana Nitya Gita Vaditra Madhyan Manasorasena Romanchakampa Sutaranga Bhadyo Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinam Shri Vigrahara Dhananityanana Shingarathan Mandiramarjanado Yuktasya bhaktam stanyanjatapi Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinam Chaturvida Shri Bhagavat Prasada Swadana Triptan Haribaksha Sangram Kritraiva Triptim Bhajata Sadaiva Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinam Shri Radhika Madhavayurapara Madhurya Leela Gunarupa Namnam Pratikshanaasvadanalolupasya Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinam Nikunjayono Ratikeli Sedhai Yayali Bir Yukti Rapekshaniyai Tatrati Dakshadati Valavasya Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinam Saksharaриtvena Samasta Shastre Uktastatha Bhavyateva Sadvi Kinto Prabhorya Priya Eva Tasya Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinam Yasya prasada bhagavad prasado Yasya prasada nagati kutopi Jayam stuvam stasa yasatri sadyam Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinam Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinam Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinam Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Jai Srila Prabhupada Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Chaitanya Nityananda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Chaitanya Nityananda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe. Jaya Radha Nila Madhava Radha Nila Madhava Radhe. Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe. Jai Radhe. Jaya Sitaram Jaya Sitaram Sitaram Jaya Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha Lakshmi Narasingha Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha. Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Namamishwaram Sachidanandarupam Lasatkundalam Gokule Vrajamanam. Yashoda Vyolukaladavamanam Paramishtamatyantanto Dritagopya.
Yashoda Vyolukaladavamanam Paramishtamatyantanto Dritagopya.
Rudantamuhurnetra Yugmamrijantam
शान्तम् कराम्बोजयुगमेन सान्तकनेत्रम्
मुहुस्वाशकम्पात्रिरेकान्तकान्ता स्तुते ग्रीवदामोदरं भक्तिपादम्
मुहुस्वाशकम्पात्रिरेकाककन्ता स्थितग्रैवदामोदरं भक्तिपादम्
इति दिक्ष्वलीलाभेरानन्दकुण्डे स्वघोषमिमाजन्तमाज्ञापयन्तम्
इति दृक्ष्वलीलाभिरानन्दकुण्डे स्वघोषं निमजन्तम् आज्ञापयन्तम्
तदीयेषु ताग्नेषु भक्तिर्जितात्वम् पुनः प्रेमातस्तं सता वृत्तिवन्दे
तदीयेषिताग्नेषु भक्तिर्जितात्वम् पुनः प्रेमतस्तं सदा वृत्तिवन्दे
वरं देवमोक्षां न मोक्षां न दिम्वा न चैन वृणेऽहं वरेषदपीह
वरं देवमोक्षं न मोक्षावधिं वा न चान्यं व्रणेऽहं वरेषदपीह
इदं ते वपूर्णात गोपालबालं सदा मे मनस्य विराजं किमन्ये
इदं देवपूर्णात् गोपालबालं सदा मे मनस्य विराजं किमन्ये
इदं ते वपूर्णात
इदं ते मुखाम्बोज
कुन्तलैस्निग्धरक्तस्य
इदं ते मूकाम्बोजम् अत्यन्तनीलैर्वृतं कुन्तलैस्निग्धरक्तस्य गोप्या
मुहुश्चुम्बितं बिम्बरक्तं दरामे मनस्य वीरास्तमलं लक्षलाभे
मुहुश्चुम्बितं बिम्बरक्ताधरं मे मनसा विरास्तमलं लक्षलाभै
नमो देव दामोदरानन्त विष्णु प्रसिद्ध प्रबोधुकजालब्धिमग्नम्
नमो देव दामोदरानन्द विष्णो प्रसीद प्रबोधुकजालब्धिमग्नम्
कृपादृष्टिवृष्ट्याति दीनं बतानु ग्रहणे क्षमामग्नमे दक्षिदृश्य
कृपादृष्टिवृष्याति दिनं बतानो ग्रहणे क्षमामद्यं हे दक्षिदृश्याय
कुबेरात्मजौ बद्धमुद्रैव यद्वा त्वया मोचितौ भक्तिभजकृतौ च
कुबेरात्मजौ बद्धमूर्तैव यद्वा त्वया मोचितौ भक्तिभाजकृतौ च
तथा प्रेम भक्तिं स्वकामे प्रयाच न मोक्षजहो मे स्थिदामोदरेह
तथा प्रेम भक्तिं स्वकामे प्रयाच न मोक्षे ग्रहो मे स्थिदामोदरेह
नमस्ते स्तुदाम्ने स्तुरतिदाम्ने त्वदीयोदयाय तवेश्वसदाम्ने
नमस्ते सुदाम्ने स्तुरदीप्तिदाम्ने त्वदीयोदराय विश्वशदाम्ने
नमो राधिकाय त्वदीयप्रियाय नमो अनन्तलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यम्
नमो राधिकायै त्वदीयप्रियायै नमो नन्दलीलाय
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe.
Jaya Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Radhe.
Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe.
Damodar Radha Damodar Radhe.
Jaya Radha Nila Madhav Radha Nila Madhav Radhe.
Jaya Radha Nila Madhav Radha Nila Madhav Radhe.
Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra.
Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra.
Jaya Sita Ram Jaya Sita Ram Jaya Sita Ram Jaya Lakshmana Hanuman.
Jaya Sita Ram Jaya Sita Ram Jaya Sita Ram Jaya Lakshmana.
Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Nitya Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitya Gaura Hari Bol.
Ashtotara Sarashimat Iskon Pratishta Viviti Samstav Kacharya Vaishnav Saramani Gaura Priya Jana Krishna Prema Bhakti Datta Patita Pavan is divine grace Aboicharan Bhakti Vedanta Samara Srila Prabhupada Ji ki jai. Shri Gauriya Guru Varga Patiti Udhar ki jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Das Guna Sadguru Swami Prabhu ki jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ji ki jai. Anand Kuri Vaishnava Vrindi ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrindi ki jai. Param Dayal Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai. Jai Prema Nama Sankirtane Ka Janaka Prema Purushottama Shri Sachinandana Shriman Gauranga Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Gaur Hari Mahavrana Avatar ki jai. Golokera Pramadhan Nam Sankitan Jaga ki jai. Juga Dharma Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai. Brihad Midanga Translator Book Distribution Seva ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopupna Radha Kunsama Kungiri Raj Gopodhan ki jai. Shri Brajabam Vrindavan Mathur Dham ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Damodar ki jai. Kartik Mas ki jai. Shri Shri Yashoda Damodar ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Nilamadhav ki jai. Shri Shri Mayapurna Vadip Eka Chakra Dham ki jai. Param Kuru Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai. Shri Purushottam Ketra Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Shri Shri Jagannath Swami Baladev Prabhu Smaspadra Devi Sudarshan Chakra Bhagwan ki jai. Bhakti Sarva Vigna Vinashana Krishngare Bhagwan ki jai. Jaganga Mai Jamuna Mai ki jai. Tulsi Maharani Vrindi Devi Bhakti Devi ki jai. Bolo Srimati Radharani ki Shamaveta Bhakta Vrindi ki jai. Nitai Gaurari Pramana. All glories to the Assembly. Glories to the Assembly bodies. All glories to the Assembly bodies. All glories to Shri Shri Guru Shri Gauranga.
अन्याकाशीपूर्वक्षः शीलटङ्कानकालये इतो नरसिंहा परतो नरसिंहो यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंहा बहे नरसिंहो हृदये नरसिंहो नरसिंहमदिं चरणं प्रपद्ये तव करकमलवरेणाकाम् अद्भुतशृङ्गां दलितारण्यकशिपु प्राणुभृङ्गाम् केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे तव कर कमलवरे नाका अद्भुत ताणुभृङ्गा केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे हरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय नरहरि जय नरहरि जय नरहरि जय नरहरि जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल श्री श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंहदेव भगवान की
कृष्ण भक्ति प्रदे देवी सतवताय
प्रियाय केशवस्य च विष्णुभक्ति प्रतिदेवी सत्यवताय नमो नमः।
तुलसी देवाय प्रियाय केशव सत्य कृष्ण भक्ति प्रदे देवी सतवताय
वृंद्याय तुलसी देव्याय प्रियाय केशवस्य च विष्णुभक्ति प्रतिदेवी सत्यवताय नमो नमः।
वृंदाय तुलसी देवाय प्रियाय केशव सत्य कृष्ण भक्ति प्रदे देवी सतवताय
वृंद्याय तुलसी देव्याय प्रियाय केशवस्य च विष्णुभक्ति प्रतिदेवी सत्यवताय नमो नमः।
श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी देवी की विवेकाचा Is that key for you? Good.
नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः राधा कृष्ण सेवा पाओ यही अभिलाषी राधा कृष्ण सेवा पाओ यही अभिलाषी नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः जे तोमारा शरण लो तारा वंशा पूर्ण हो कृपा कोरे करो तारे वृंदावन वासी मोरा अभिलाष विलास कुंज दियो बास नयने हेरिबो सदा जुगल रूप राशि नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः এই নিবেদন ধর সাখীর অনুগত কর सेवा अधिकार दिए कर निज दासी दीन कृष्ण दासे कहे এই যে নমর হই শ্রী রাধা গোবিন্দ প্রেমে সদা যেন বাসি শ্রী রাধা গোবিন্দ প্রেমে সদা যেন বাসি नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्मत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्मत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्मत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayo Brinda Devi Jayo Brinda Devi Jayo Brinda Devi Jayo Brinda Devi Jaya Tulsi Maharani Jaya Tulsi Maharani Jaya Tulsi Maharani Jaya Tulsi Maharani Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol वृंदा देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय।
श्री वृंदाई तुलसी देवाय प्रियाय के सब सत्य विष्णु भक्ति प्रारंभे सत्ववत्ताय नमः। वृंदाई तुलसी देवाय प्रियाय के सब सत्य विष्णु भक्ति प्रारंभे सत्ववत्ताय वृंदाय तुलसी देवाय प्रियाय के सब सत्य कृष्ण भक्ति प्रारंभे सत्ववत्ताय नमः। श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय। I bow before you again and again.
My desire is whoever takes shelter of
His wishes fulfilled.
bestowing your mercy upon me.
Resident of Vrindavan.
My
My
desire
desire
is
that you also grant me a residence and pleasure for all of Shri Vrindavan Dham. Thus, within my vision, I will always behold a beautiful pastime to Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me a follower carry damsels of Raj. Please give me the privilege of devotional service and make me an ornament servant. His very fallen and Lord servant Krishna praise. May I always swim in love with Shri Radha and Govinda. Shrimati Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Sikyastakam ki jai. Chaito Ratpanamajanam Pavamadavanam Shri Akari Vachandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadudinam Ananda Budivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamritaswadanam Sarvatmasnapanam Paramjyoti Shri Krishna Sanketanam Namakarika Hudanitya Sarvashakti Tatrapita Nimitasmanena Kala Ekadrisi Tavartavamapi Durtaivam Visayajana Ranuraga Vinadati Smichena Tarurati Saishunam Amahina Manadena Kirtanya Sadati Nadanam Nadanam Nasundari Pavitam Bhajagadisham Mama Janmani Janmanishware Bhavatar Bhaktirati Kitvi Ainam Tatam Jakinkaram Patitam Mam Visami Bhavan Buddho Ayatava Pada Pankaja Sitaduli Sadrisham Chintaya Nayanam Galora Shrudharaya Padanam Gada Gada Rudaya Gira Pulakai Nishitam Bapukada Tapanam Agrane Bhavisati Jugaitam Nimishena Chakrusha Prabhusaitam Sunyaitam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Virainame Aslishabhapadaratam Pinashtumam Adarshanar Marmahatam Karotuva Jatha Tathava Vidadhatulam Pato Matpranathastu Saivanapara Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Sikyastakam ki jai. Namo Mahavarannaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratvishe Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutare Shmate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devam Gauravan Pracharini Visheshnavadi Pashattari Satarine. Glory to the Shri Krishna Sankirtana. which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of a conditioned life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan moment is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names, like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names, O my Lord. Out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by holy names, but I'm so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself Lord on straw in the street. One should be taller and more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of full prestige, and should be ready to offer our respect to others. In such state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your cause that is devoted from service, birth to birth. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I am falling in this ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, with my eyes will be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name. But will my voice choke up, and will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know one but Krishna as my Lord, and he should remain so. Even if his hand holds me roughly by his embrace, or make me broken-hearted by not being present before me, he is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Sri Kristakam Ki Jai. There are 10 offenses in matter of chanting the holy name of the Lord that should be avoided. They are as follows. 1. To blaspheme devotees who dedicate their life for propagating the holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider names of demigods, like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, to be equal to or independent of the name Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the orders of the spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scriptures and presumes of Vedic version. 5. To consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. 6. To give some interpretation to the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities on strength of chanting the holy name. 8. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which often Vedas as fruitive activities, karma kanda. 9. To instruct the faithless person by the glories of the holy name. And 10. To not have complete faith in chanting with the holy names and to maintain material attachments, even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success, Krishna Prema. Now let us offer our most humble obeisance unto all the Vaishnavas, devoted to the Lord. They are just like desired trees. They can fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls.
Shri Guru Purnama prayers ki jai. Om Aganya Timrandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manubhistam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Jitaha Pachikamalan Shri Gurun Vaishnavansa Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahaguna Ragunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahaguna Lalita Shri Visakha Navitam Sa Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Satarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Saraswati Tinamini Shivarsavanavi Devi Daitaya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vigyana Dayane Prabhave Namaha Madhur Ujvala Premadya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gora Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostate Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Virudapa Apisadanta Dvantaharine Namo Gora Kishoraya Shakshad Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambara Sambodhe Kodamba Jayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sachitanandanamine Gora Shakti Swarupaya Rupanugavarayate Guravir Bhavavamestvam Nirdesta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhama Sri Jagannathayate Namaha Vanchakalpa Turabhyascha Kripa Sindhubhye Vicha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Premapadayate Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Namne Guru Tuse Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhakta Avataram Bhakta Agam Namami Bhakta Saktikam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Jayatam Suratur Pangur Mama Manda Matir Gati Matsarva Swapadam Bhojo Radha Madana Mohana Divyad Vindaranya Kapadumada Shimad Ratnagara Simasana Stito Shimad Radha Shila Govinda Devo Prestali Vihi Sevyamana Smarami Shiman Rasara Saran Bivam Sivata Tatastita Karsan Venuswanir Gopir Gopinatak Striyeshtana Tapta Kanchana Gurangi Radhe Vrindavan Rishabhanustate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Vaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Brahma Samiti Ki Jai Ishwara Parama Krishna Sachitanandana Anadiradi Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam Chintamani Prakara Satma Sakalpa Riksha Laksa Vitestu Surabira Vipali Antam Lakshmi Sahasra Satasambrama Sevyamana Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Venam Kvanandam Aravinda Dalaytaksham Barhavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Visesha Sobam Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Alola Chandra Kala Sadvanamarya Vamsi Ratnam Pilai Keli Kalavilasam Shamam Trivangalalita Nita Prakasam Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasya Sakalendri Ritimanti Pasyanti Pantikayanti Chiram Jaganti Ananda Ayatla Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Advaitam Ashutam Anadim Ananta Rupam Adyam Purana Purisham Navayovanamcha Vedesa Durlabham Adurlabham Atma Bhakto Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Pantastakoti Satavatsara Sampragamyo Vayoratapi Manasomani Pungamanam Sobhyasti Yat Prapadastim Yavichintya Tattve Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Ekopya Sora Jayatam Jagadanda Kotim Yaschakti Rasti Jagadanda Chayayadanta Adanta Rasta Paramanu Chayantarasta Govinda Mahadi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yad Bhava Bhavita Diyo Manajastataiva Samprapya Rupa Mahima Sanayana Bhusta Suktarya Meva Nigama Pratitaistavanti Govinda Mahadi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Ananda Chinmaya Rasat Bhakti Bhavita Abhistavirya Eva Nijarupa Daya Kalavi Goloka Evina Vasata Kilatma Bhutto Govinda Mahadi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santaksa Deva Hidesa Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Gunaswarupam Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Ramadi Murti Sukalani Menatista Nana Avatara Makarod Bhuvanesa Kinto Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Paramam Pramam Yo Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yasya Prabhava Prabhavato Jagadanda Koti Kotis Vasesra Sudadi Vibhuti Binam Tad Brahman Iskalam Anantam Asesa Bhutam Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Mayahi Yasya Jagadanda Satani Sute Tragunya Tad Visaya Vida Vidaya Manam Sattva Valambi Parasatvam Visuddha Sattvam Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Ananda Chinmaya Satmataya Manasuya Praninam Patipulam Smaratam Upetya Lilaya Tena Bhuvanani Jaya Jasam Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Goloka Namni Nijidamni Talichitasya Devi Maheswari Dama Sate 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 Prabhavani Jaya Vitasya Yena Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Shasti Stati Pralaya Sadhava Sakti Reka Jaye Vyase Bhuvanani Vivarti Durga Ichana Rupam Abhyasya Chite Statesa Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Shiram Yata Dadi Vikara Visesa Yoga Sanjayate Nahita Tapritagasti Hita Yasambutama Pitata Samapaitika Yat Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Departs Devita Santaram Abhupetya Dipaya Devi Vitahita Samana Dharma Yastadrike Vicha Vishnutaya Vibhati Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yam Karma Pratisha Yoga Nidramananta Jagadanda Sarvama Kupa Adhara Satyam Avalambya Parasamurtim Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yashyayika Nisvasita Kalamata Avalambya Jivanti Loma Vilaja Jagadanda Nata Vishnur Mahansa Yasya Kalabi Shesha Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Vasmanya Tasma Sakalesina Jesa Tejas Sriyam Kiyat Prakatayata Pitadra Brahma Yasya Jagadanda Vidhana Karta Brahma Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami At Pada Palavayugam Vinidaya Kumbha Dvande Purnama Samaya Signadi Raja Vignam Nihanta Malamasya Jagajayasya Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Agni Mahika Ganamam Bhumarudisasya Kalasta Tatva Manasiti Jagatrayani Yasmad Bhavanti Vivanti Visantiyam Cha Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yaschak Suresa Savita Sakalagrahanam Raja Samasta Surumurti Rasesa Teja Yasya Gaya Brahmati Sambrita Kala Chakro Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Dharmo Papa Nichaya Vitrutesta Pamsi Brahmadi Kita Patagava Testa Jivaha Yadata Matra Vibhava Pakitapa Bhava Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Astrendra Loka Avdurenda Mahot Swakarma Bandhan Rupa Valabhajana Matanam Karmani Nita Hatitinstu Bhakti Bhajam Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yam Kroda Kama Suraja Pranati Biti Vasaya Mohagor Gorova Sevya Bhava Sanchinta Testa Sadrisintana Mahapurete Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Shriya Kanta Kanta Parama Purisha Kalpatara Vajramabhu Mishchitamani Ganama Yitoyam Amritam Kataganam Natyam Gamanam Apivan Sipriyasa Kichiranandam Jyoti Paramapita Aswadya Apicha Sayatra Shiradavi Savadi Surabi Vyasta Suman Nimesha Dakyo Vavrajati Yatapi Samaya Bajay Svita Dvipam Tamaham Iu Golakam Ityam Vidantas Te Santakshiti Varacharya Katipa Siguru Vaskapirski Jedi Spiritual Master receiving benediction from the ocean just as the crowd pours water on a forest fire to extinguish it. So the spiritual master delivers the materially afflicted world by extinguishing the blazing fire of material existence. For my respectful base, not the lotus feet of such spiritual masters, an ocean of auspicious qualities. Chanting the holy name, dancing in ecstasy, singing, playing music. Spiritual master always gladdened by the Sankirtan movement, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because he is relishing the malice of pure devotion with his mind, sometimes his hair stands, and then he feels quivering in his body and tears flow from his eyes like waves. So for my respectful base, not the lotus feet of such spiritual master. The spiritual master is always engaged in the temple worship of Shri Radha and Krishna. He also engages his disciples in such worship. They dress the deities in beautiful clothes and ornaments, clean their temple, and perform other similar worship of the Lord. Now, for my respectful base, to lotus feet, such spiritual masters. Spiritual masters always offering Krishna four kinds of delicious food, analyzes that which is liquid, drunk, and sucked. When the spiritual master sees that the devotees are satisfied by eating Bhagavat Prasad, he is satisfied. Of my respectful basis, unto lotus feet, such spiritual masters. Spiritual masters always eager to hear and chant about the unlimited consciousness of Radhika and Madhava and their qualities, names, and forms. The spiritual master spreads the relatives at every moment. For my respectful basis, not the lotus feet is such spiritual master. The spiritual master is very dear because he is expert at assisting gopis who at different times make different tastes or arrangements for the perfection of Radha and Krishna's conjugal love affairs within the gross Vrindavan. For my most humble basis, not the lotus feet of such spiritual master. Spiritual master, to be honest, much the Supreme Lord because he is most competent to serve the Lord. This is acknowledged in all revealed scriptures and followed by all authorities. Therefore, for my respectful basis, not the lotus feet of such spiritual master who is a bona fide representative of Shri Hare Krishna. By the mercy of the spiritual master, one receives the benediction of Krishna. Without the grace of the spiritual master, one cannot make any advancement. Therefore, I should always remember and praise the spiritual master at least 3 times a day. So, for my respectful basis, on the lotus feet of my spiritual master, his divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Srimad Bhagavatam Grantaraja Ki Jai, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 6, Verse number 10. Smaran Vishwasrijam Isho Vidyapitam Ahoksajaha Virajam Atapat Svena Teja Saisam Vivitaya Virittaye Smaran, remembering Vishwa Srijam of the demigods entrusted with the task of cosmic construction. Isha, the Supreme Lord. Vidyapitam, as he was prayed for. Ahoksija, the transcendence. Virajam, the gigantic universal form. Atapat, considered thus. Swena, by his own. Tejasa, energy. Esham, for them. Vivittaye, for understanding. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Lord is the supersoul of all the demigods, entrusted with the task of constructing the cosmic manifestation. Being thus prayed to by the demigods, he thought to himself, meaning Krishna, and thus manifested a gigantic form for their understanding. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The impersonalists are captivated by the gigantic universal form of the Supreme. They think that the control behind this gigantic manifestation is imagination. Intelligent persons, however, can estimate the value of the cause by observing the wonders of the effects. For example, the individual human body does not develop from the womb of the mother independently, but because the living entity, the soul, is within the body. Without the living entity, a material body cannot automatically take shape or develop. When any material object displays development, it must be understood that there is a spiritual soul within the manifestation. The has developed gradually, just as the body of a child develops. The conception that the transcendence enters within the universe is therefore logical. As the materialists cannot find the soul and the supersoul within the heart, similarly, for want of sufficient knowledge, they cannot see that the Supreme Soul is the cause of the universe. The Lord is therefore described in the Vedic language as Avan Manasa Gochara, beyond the conception of words and mind. Due to a poor fund of knowledge, the mental speculators tried to bring the Supreme within the purview of words and minds. But the Lord refuses to be so intelligible. The speculator has no adequate words or mind to gauge the infinity of the Lord. The Lord is called Ahokshaja, or the person who is beyond perception by the blunt, limited potency of our senses. One cannot perceive the transcendental name or form of the Lord by mental speculation. The mundane PhDs are completely unable to speculate on the Supreme with their limited senses. Such attempts by the puffed-up PhDs are compared to the philosophy of the frog in the well. A frog in a well was informed of the gigantic Pacific Ocean, and he began to puff himself up in order to understand or measure the length and breadth of the Pacific Ocean. Ultimately, the frog burst and died. The title PhD can also be interpreted as plow department, a title meant for the tillers in the paddy field. The attempt of the tillers in the paddy field to understand the cosmic manifestation and the cause behind such wonderful work can be compared to the endeavor of the frog in the well to calculate the measurement of the Pacific Ocean. The Lord can reveal himself only to a person who is submissive and who engages in his transcendental loving service. The demigods, controlling the elements and ingredients of universal affairs, prayed to the Lord for guidance, and thus he manifested his gigantic form as he did at the request of Arjuna. Srila Prabhupada, Patita Pavane Ki Jai, Gaura Premanandi, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Well, there, again, just like in the previous verse, there are many, many major points here. But we're going to start with one that is absolutely amazing. And that is so it says here, the impersonalists are captivated by the gigantic universal form of the Supreme. They think that the control behind this gigantic manifestation is imagination. In other words, as we explained yesterday and the day before, the scientist has no knowledge of what is the actual, what are the actual happenings in the material nature. And we gave the example. We looked up what they claim is the energy of the living body. And they claim it's due to carbohydrates, proteins, sugars, etc. But Krishna says, in the previous verse, he says that he is the dynamic force for all movements by 10 kinds of life energy. And he is the one heart. He is the one heart where the life energy is generated. So it's not carbohydrates, proteins, and sugars, etc. It's Krishna who's the source of all the energy for the jiva and for the entire material creation. So the scientists got it wrong. Secondly, they don't believe there's an individual soul, and they definitely don't believe that there's a super soul, right? So what do they know then about the body? They don't even understand the body. Yeah. So we see why everything they explain, like the explanation of where the body gets its energy from, and we read it yesterday on the internet, is wrong. So why would you send your child to be educated with wrong knowledge? See, it's a type of abuse of the child.
Especially when the mind is very impressionable.
They have no ability to deal with this because they don't have experience in life. So they're just forced to accept it, and they repeat it, and they have to answer it in questions in the test in order to pass the test. The whole thing is nonsense. It is, like I said, a type of abuse of the child to send them to these schools where they're going to be fed a bunch of basically gobar, right? So then it says, intelligent persons, however, can estimate the value of the cause by observing the wonders of the effects. That's the point. This we have to think about very carefully. It's a major statement by Srila Prabhupada. The gigantic manifestation, it says, the intelligent persons, however, can estimate the value of the cause by observing the wonders of the effects. So, they say that a certain poison has no taste to it. Now, why did they say that? Because when you taste this poison, you immediately die. So you don't live long enough to explain what it tasted like, right? So in the same way, but a person can tell right away that there was something wrong when they were fed that poison. They put the poison that has no taste in their food. Well, it has a taste, but they don't live long enough to say what it is. And as soon as they take it, they immediately die, right? So in the same way, but they know that there's an effect. They can tell something went wrong, that they ate something that is extremely poisonous and they're choking and now they're dying. So we can learn or estimate the value of the cause by the wonders of the effects. So we see, like for example, several times I've performed funerals for mothers whose child died, right, in the womb. And when sometimes children die in the womb, right? Now, when that happens, we understand by the effect that something left the body of that embryo. Therefore, it died in the womb, or it died after birth, right? Like one of my kids died after 7 months. So what does it mean? All of a sudden, the body goes bluish, dark bluish. The body stops breathing, and it stops growing. So obviously, something left the body, right? Now, the scientists can say this or that, but we understand that thing that animates the body is ultimately Krishna's super soul, and then Krishna potentiates the jiva, and then the jiva is going to potentiate or the jiva is the living principle that helps growth. Now, growth is very interesting. The scientists have this theory about the second law of thermodynamics, but actually, well, what that says, and we explained it before, is that in a closed system, let's say in a metal tank, when you let things happen on their own, like first of all you heat it up, and then the molecules and atoms, they are very agitated. But if you leave it alone, eventually the heat will dissipate slowly, and that means that there's entropy. Entropy means that the order that was there due to the heat now is dissipated, and it loses its, let's say, structure or whatever it was that was agitating it, and it comes eventually to complete rest, which means complete entropy, which means disorder. All the atoms dissipate, and there's disorder, or as you would say, entropy. But however, in a living biological system, it's the opposite. That while the soul is in the body, there's organization, there's energy, and it's not dissipating, it's increasing. So you see the child is growing, right? And so it violates the second law of thermodynamics. However, the scientists have done everything they can, word jugglery, whatever, to prove that even the violation of the law of the second law of thermodynamics, eventually that it becomes, it dissipates also, because a person will eventually begin to dwindle and die, and then all their molecules and atoms go back into nature. But that's not the point. The point is that as long as the Krishna, super soul, and the jiva are in the body, it will function. And as soon as they leave, it stops functioning, and it dissipates. It goes back into nature. The water goes to water, the earth goes to earth, the air goes to air, etc. Right? So here we see intelligent persons, however, can estimate the value of the cause by observing the wonders of the effects. Now, that is if you're an honest observer. If you're a dishonest observer, you don't see this. You don't want to see it, because it would violate your theory that there is no God. But anyone who's an honest observer, they will see the hand of God everywhere, in everything. Like, for example, when we gave the example of the cobbler and the brahmana. So the cobbler, when he was told that when Narada Muni met Krishna, or Narayana in the spiritual world, Narayana was putting an elephant through the eye of a needle. Now, the brahmana rejected that. He said, that's nonsense. Now I know you're a liar. You're a liar. You didn't actually see Narayana yet. But the cobbler said, yeah, that's no problem. I know this. He's capable of doing that. Why? Because he's living underneath a banyan tree, and he sees once a year the pods of the banyan tree fall on the ground, and the seeds are revealed, and they're very small seeds like that. Yeah. But yet, no, they're bigger than a mustard seed. But yet, in that little seed is a gigantic tree. All the information to produce a gigantic tree, like a banyan tree. One of the biggest banyan trees is in Calcutta. it's one major city block, which is huge, right? And you can't tell which is the original trunk, because banyan trees, their branches grow downward, and they develop roots, and then they all look like trunks. So it's like a jungle. One tree becomes a jungle, right? So the cobbler, who is not, doesn't have a PhD, he's not a Brahmana, he doesn't recite the Vedic mantras, but he had common sense. He could see the potency of God, who can put a gigantic tree in a little seed. So therefore, he can put an elephant through the eye of a needle. See, so his understanding was based on knowledge. It was not based on theory or mythology. He had experience. He saw by the effect, right? So someone has to be blind not to be able to see God's presence in every aspect of the material world and in the body of the human being, from the amoeba all the way up to Brahma. So therefore, this is a big point, and when you read Bhagavad Gita, you learn to see this. So, for example, I'll give a couple of quick examples here from the Bhagavad Gita. We're looking at the 7th chapter, where it says, Rasoham apsukunteya pravasmi sasisuraya pranavas arvavedesu sabdeke purusham nisu. O son of Kunti Arjuna, I am the taste of water, the light of the sun and the moon, the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras. I am sound in ether and ability in man. So here Krishna is explaining how you can see him in this material world by these extraordinary energies. Like, for example, the light of the sun and the moon is coming from Krishna. So it's non-different than Krishna. Everything you see in the material world is made with the elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego. All those things are coming from Krishna. So anything you see, a human being, an ant, a skyscraper, you're seeing the energy of Krishna. And then the syllable Om in Vedic mantras. Yeah, the syllable Om is Aum. It means it's Krishna, Radharani, and the Jiva, and the 3 letters of Aum. And then, so you're seeing the whole creation in the syllable Om. And then I am sound in ether. Well, we're picking up sound all the time with our ears, and it's going through the air. That is also Krishna. And ability in man, well, we see some people have extraordinary abilities. That's coming from Krishna. So then it says, Punya Gandha Prativyam Cha Tejas Chasmi Vibhavaso Jivanam Sarvabhute Su Tapas Tasmi Tapasvi Su. I am the original fragrance of the earth. So whenever you get the scent of a flower, that's Krishna. And I am the heat in fire. So when you feel the heat of a fire, that's Krishna. I am the life of all that lives. So when you see a living body, that life, let's say, energy is coming from Krishna, as yesterday's verse said. He is the source of the energy, and it's all localized in the heart, because the Jiva, Krishna is in the heart as Paramatma, and Jiva is in the heart. And therefore, when the blood comes back to the heart, it's rejuvenated again. Now, it's a mysterious thing. The scientists say, well, it's because of oxygen. No, it's not just because of oxygen. It's because Krishna is there, and he rejuvenates the blood. So, and that's in the Bhagavad Gita. We read it yesterday. If you want to read it again, let's look at it again. 9th chapter, and chapter 4th verse. It says, it says that only to one who is engaged in pure devotional service under the proper guidance is Krishna revealed. In the Brahma Samhita 538, it is stated, Pramanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santak Sadeva Hridesa Vilokayanti. One can see the Supreme Personality Godhead Govinda always within himself and outside himself, if one has developed the transcendental loving attitude towards him. So, you want to see Krishna? Well, within oneself and outside of oneself, you have to develop a loving attitude for Krishna. Then you will see him inside and outside, everywhere. Right? Thus, for people in general, he is not visible. Why? Because they have no loving or devotion for Krishna. Here it is said that although he is all-pervading, everywhere present, he is not conceivable by the material senses. Atak Sri Krishna Mahabhavati Nabhavedgayam Indriyai Sevan Mukhehi Jivado Swayam Eva Spuratyata. That's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.234. Krishna, Lord Krishna's name, fame, pastimes, etc. cannot be understood by material senses. Only to one who is engaged in pure devotional service under proper guidance, that means under the guidance of Shiksha and Diksha Gurus, is he revealed. Okay. So then it says, but actually, although we cannot see him, everything is resting in him. As we have discussed in the 7th chapter, the entire material cosmic manifestation is only a combination of his two different energies, the superior spiritual energy and the inferior material energy. Just as the sunshine is spread all over the universe, the energy of the Lord is spread all over the creation, and everything is resting in that energy. This is what we're hearing today in today's verse and yesterday's verse, right? So you see, it's all in the Bhagavad Gita. And then it's explained again, but with more detail in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so then it says, the Lord says that everything is resting on him. Matstani sarvabhutani. This should not be misunderstood. The Lord is not directly concerned with the maintenance and sustenance of this material manifestation. All right. So don't be fooled by the Greek Atlas, who is struggling to hold the earth on his back, right? That's not the way Krishna does things, right? So the planetary systems are floating in space, and this space is the energy of the Supreme Lord. But he is different from space. He is differently situated. Therefore, the Lord says, although they are situated on my inconceivable energy as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I am aloof from them. This is the inconceivable opulence of the Lord. Now, for example, if you take some pinball, what do you call this? There's very light plastic balls where you play like this. Ping pong, yeah. So if you get some ping pong balls, you put them in, let's say, a closed jar or something, and you input heat, they'll fly up in the air, and they'll be held up in the air. Have you ever done that? You can try it. It's an experiment. So that gives you an idea that all the heat that's emanating from the sun, which is Krishna's Brahma Jyoti, is holding the planets in their orbits in perfect way. And on top of that, there is someone named Surya who is overseeing this, right? So therefore the planets are perfectly kept in air. They're perfectly synchronized. Then the scientists, they can't even keep a satellite perfectly in the air. They eventually fail, right? But the planets have been going on infinitely, right? From the beginning of time until the end of time. And they're perfectly held in orbits. And we keep time by the movement of these planets, right? We have to recalibrate time or adjust the time once a year, right? So we see that there's something very, very, let's say, fundamental here. It's called the inconceivable energy. And he says, the Supreme Lord is performing inconceivably wonderful pastimes, displaying his energy. Now, who sees this actually? Yeah, people like Isaac Newton and Einstein have seen this, and they say it clearly. Isaac Newton said, "All we have done is analyze a few grains of sand in the vast ocean of knowledge." He said it 500 years ago. Einstein said the same thing. He said, "I'm just amazed by the organization of the universe, and we only understand a few things about it." Both of them said the same thing because they understand. If you try to measure the gigantic space in one little universe like ours, you would not be able to do it. The distances between planets is unbelievable, and galaxies. There's so much space. It could take hundreds and millions of years for a human being to traverse it, but obviously you don't live that long. So we have no idea of the expansiveness of space in this one little universe, and there's millions and billions of more universes. And ours is one of the smallest. So there are many mysterious things, but of course, if we are insulated through false ego, what does false ego do? It shrinks our ability to see things. So we end up in a very small time-space module. Like for example, people spend a long time in the kitchen. How big is the kitchen? Right? People spend a long time in the toilet, right? How big is the toilet, right? People spend a long time in the car. How big is the car? People spend a long time in the office. How big is the office, see? So when you go out, like for example, I saw this one photo that Ajay Prabhu sent to me when he was with Eskimos in the South Pole. He wasn't in the South Pole directly, but he was in some area on the way to the South Pole, and they got off the boat to see the penguins on a small island, right? So he sends me that picture. So he's seeing a vast array of a vast part of the sky, right? Way down somewhere, near Argentina or so forth, on a trip that he took. So when you see that, you suddenly realize the expansiveness of space, right? But most of the time, we're in these small rooms. So our time-space module is very, very limited, like the frog in the well.
Amazing.
Yeah, Prabhupada uses it twice, right? Okay, so here it says, the Lord is performing inconceivably wonderful pastimes, displaying his energy. His person is full of different potent energies, and his determination is itself actual fact. Now that's a big statement, his determination. Whatever he thinks, that's what's going to happen. For us to make something happen, we have to work. Krishna does not have to perform any work. Whatever he thinks, that will happen. And it's a nice way of saying it. His person is full of different potent energies, and his determination is itself actual fact. In this way, the personality of God is to be understood. We may think of doing something, but there are so many impediments, and sometimes it is not possible to do as we like. But when Krishna wants to do something, simply by his willing, everything is performed so perfectly that one cannot imagine how it is being done. The Lord explains this fact, although he is the maintainer and sustainer of the entire material manifestation. He does not touch this material manifestation. Simply by his supreme will, everything is created, everything is sustained, everything is maintained, and everything is annihilated. There is no difference between his mind and himself, as there is a difference between ourselves and our present material mind, because he is absolute spirit. Simultaneously, the Lord is present in everything. Yet, the common man cannot understand how he is also present personally. He is different from this material manifestation, yet everything is resting on him. This is explained here as Yogam Aishwaram, the mystic power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Wow, what a purport by Prabhupada. You see, so everything is in the Bhagavad Gita, but when you go to Srimad Bhagavatam, there's more explanation of everything. That's what we have to be able to understand when we read Bhagavad Gita, that we are getting the summary of the whole Vedic knowledge in this one book. Therefore, this is the greatest book, and Prabhupada says so also. Where does he say that? He says that in the 4th chapter.
Actually, Maharaj,
Yes.
when we study Bhakti Shastri, we study Bhagavad Gita. But when you do
You have to speak in the microphone. Take the microphone.
so when we study Bhakti Shastri, we study Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
But when we study Bhakti Vaibhav, when we study Bhagavatam, again we go to study Bhagavad Gita in light of Bhagavatam.
Yeah,
That's
because of the
yeah.
extreme, let's say, elucidation. There's more information
Yes.
coming in the Bhagavatam.
Actually, that is what recommended by the Bhakti Vaibhav course, but most of the people don't do it actually. They just move on with only stick with Bhagavatam. When we were studying Bhagavatam, again we are supposed to go back to Bhagavad Gita to cross-reference the way you are doing.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
You get a much deeper understanding.
Yes.
But you see that it was already there. You missed it, right? That's why you have to go back to it. So Krishna says, he says that he says Bhagavad Gita is the best. It's in the 4th chapter. I'm trying to find out where it is. Okay, we'll come back to it.
Just very ancient science.
No. Okay, so therefore, let's see, there's another thing I wanted to explain here. I like to go back to the original statements by Prabhupada, because that way we see the, okay, so 2nd chapter, 17th verse, 2nd chapter, 17th verse, it says,
Which pervades the entire body.
it says, the corpuscles which carry the oxygen from the lungs gather energy from the soul. When the soul passes away from this position, the activity of blood generating fusion ceases. Medical science accepts the importance of the red corpuscles, but it cannot ascertain that the source of the energy is the soul. Medical science, however, does admit that the heart is the seat of all energies of the body. You see how precise Prabhupada is, right? So, therefore, it says the influence of the atomic soul can be spread all over a particular body. According to the Mundaka Upanishad, this atomic soul is situated in the heart of every living entity. And because the measurement of the atomic soul is beyond the power of appreciation of the material scientists, some of them assert foolishly that there is no soul. The individual atomic soul is definitely there in the heart, along with the supersoul, and thus all the energies of bodily movement are emanating from this part of the body, meaning the heart. And then what we read, the corpuscles, etc. So, you see, Prabhupada is giving a real education in anatomy, the real anatomy of the body, or the what you would say, there's primary and secondary qualities. So, look up on the internet now how they explain primary and secondary qualities, and you'll see it's wrong.
Here, this is an amazing statement. The corpuscles which carry oxygen from lungs gather energy from the soul.
We read it already. But now I want you to look up on the internet what are primary and secondary qualities. And secondary qualities, and see what the scientists say, which is bogus. Okay, you find it? See, this is very instructive because we'll see how misleading.
Between primary and secondary qualities.
Read in the microphone. Read in the microphone.
What is the difference between primary and secondary qualities. The important distinction between primary qualities such as solidity, figure, extension, motion and rest, which are real properties of physical objects, and secondary qualities such as color, taste and smell, which are merely the effects of such real properties on the mind.
Okay, so that's their explanation, right? But the truth is, Krishna is the primary quality of everything. Those things are corollaries of Krishna's presence. They are not the primary qualities. So that you see, the scientists only deal with matter. They refuse the existence of the soul.
I'll read some more. The primary secondary quality distinction is a conceptual distinction in
Conceptual, that means it's speculative.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
conceptual distinction in epistemology and metaphysics concerning the nature of reality. It is most
The
explicit.
nature of reality is the nature of illusion.
It is most explicitly articulated by John Locke in the essay.
John Locke was a nonsense.
Yeah.
He is the person who influenced the Constitution of the United States more than anybody else.
In his essay concerning human understanding.
Right.
But
He-
earlier thinkers such as Galileo and Descartes made similar distinction. Primary qualities are those of the properties of objects that are independent of any observer, such as solidity, extension, motion, number and figure. These characteristics convey facts. They exist in the thing itself.
If they convey facts, why do they start out by saying it's conceptual? You see, they're not eternal.
Correct.
They disappear, so they cannot be.
They
cannot
think
be
it's eternal.
facts.
They think it's eternal.
Yeah.
They exist in the thing itself and can be determined with certainty and do not rely on subjective judgments. For example, if an object is spherical, no one can reasonably argue that it is triangular. Primary qualities are mentioned
But,
earlier.
due to quantum mechanics, Einstein said
That
that
collapses
light is light. What do you call it?
Light
It bends, right? So it's not. Let's say,
This is been disproved because of quantum.
huh?
This has been disproved because of the quantum.
Yeah.
After quantum
Speak in the microphone.
Yeah. After quantum physics came up, then they understood that actually he is saying that the primary qualities are independent of the observer. They exist.
Yeah.
But because of quantum, they understood that even primary qualities, if based on the observer only, it is measured. If the observer is not there, it's not measurable.
Yeah. See, the primary quality is Krishna.
Yeah.
Without him, nothing else
Nothing else
exists.
Yeah.
See, so you see how all this is misleading. They teach this to kids. You see, and they get a misleading idea, and they end up becoming atheistic. Okay. So you see, it's very. I mean, what are we doing here? We're going back, seeing definitions of words in the dictionary, and we're seeing that they're very misleading. And now we're going back, seeing concepts of the scientists, and we see that they're very misleading. They're basically conceptual. They're not factual. Go ahead.
Actually,
Go to the microphone. Speak in the microphone.
they got the whole thing in reverse. As from the Sankhya, when you understand, actually everything is descending.
Yes.
And they are saying that the foundation is earth, water, fire. That's what they're saying. The matter is the first.
Yeah. And the one that they
From
say
the-
there's no spirit. They say there's no spirit.
Yeah.
They're denying 3/4 of reality, right? So what do they know? They don't know that much. Right?
And then they are saying basically the sound, color, taste, they are all coming from matter. But actually, if you see the hierarchy, how Krishna says in the Bhagavad Sankhya, the third canto later will come. It's descending.
Yeah, there's Aroha
Yeah.
Panta. It's
Yeah.
not an Avaroha Panta. So they're all in Avaroha Panta. No, Aroha Panta. It's ascending, but it's descending. Okay, so coming back to this. So one can estimate the value of the cause by observing the wonders of the effects. So, therefore, this cause and effect is what confuses people. However, there's a correct way and an incorrect way to understand them. See? If we understand that Krishna is the cause of everything, then we can see the effects correctly. But if we don't, then we get confused. We'll never get it right.
If the cause is not properly ascertained, there is no way the effect can be understood properly.
Yeah. So, therefore, the education the kids are getting is all wrong. Okay. So now, Prabhupada has this wonderful verse, the 6th canto, 1st chapter, 62nd verse. And it says, as far as possible, he patiently tried to remember the instructions of the Shastras. Huh? 6.1.62. Not even to see a woman. With the help of this knowledge and his intellect, he tried to control his lusty desires, but because of the force of Cupid within his heart, he failed to control his mind. So this is Ajamil, right? So although he was trained to be a devotee, he was engaged in devotional service, but just by seeing two low-class persons, a man and a woman, having sex in some secluded place in the forest while he was walking through the forest, he observed it and he became confused and he could not control his lusty desires, and that threw him off for the rest of his life. Right? And the only reason we're talking about it is because he named his last son Narayana, and because of that, by always calling his son Narayana, come here, Narayana, do this, Narayana, do that, Narayana. He was saying the name of the Lord, right? And in the last moment, he was dying, and he said Narayan, and he died. But he wasn't calling Krishna; he was calling Narayan. He was calling his son, but it doesn't matter because the holy name is absolute. So he got a second chance, right, to finish his worldly activities and go back to Godhead. Not everybody has a second chance like that, right? But it just shows the power of the holy name. Even if you say it by accident, it acts, right? Or oftentimes we go in Sankirtan and people in a derisive way say, oh, here come the Hare Krishnas. They got benefited. They said the name of Krishna, or Hare Krishna. Okay, but this is a very important verse and purport. Now, we started reading it, but I'm going to go over some more points of this because it's very important to understand. So, Prabhupada says that now here it is said, Mana Madana Vepitam. Okay, so this is, yeah, it's the same lecture, but it's farther on near the end, like the last 3 or 4 paragraphs. Now here it is said, Mana Madana Vepitam. Mind was agitated. So this mind agitation will go on unless one is attracted by Madana Mohana. So Madana means Cupid, and Mohana means Krishna was overwhelming. That Madana or Cupid is attracted by Krishna, whereas everyone else is attracted by Cupid. Right? If we do not be attracted by Madana Mohan, so long we are not attracted by Madana Mohan, we must be attracted by Madana, Cupid. Madana Vipitam. This is the process. And unless you can control your mind, unless you are able to control your mind, not to be disturbed by Madana, there is no question of liberation or salvation. The ultimate goal of life is how to become free from this material entanglement, repetition of birth, death, and threefold miseries. Now this is what, like I say, this is what we have to teach our kids. This is what they should learn right away. And if we don't teach this to them, then they become poisoned, right? The ultimate goal of life is how to become free from this material engagement, repetition of birth, death, and the threefold mysteries. That is the perfection. They do not know what is the goal of life. What is the perfection of life? The whole world. They don't know. Especially in this age, they are so fallen that they do not know what is the goal of life. All these big political parties, philosophers, scientists, they have no knowledge. There it is, Prabhupada is saying. They have no knowledge. They are in the darkness. Therefore, it is called illusion, in the darkness. But we understand that Krishna Surya Sama, Krishna is just like the sun. Krishna Surya Sama, Maya Andakara. And this darkness means Maya. Krishna Surya Sama, Maya Andakara. Yahan Krishna Tahanahi Mayara Adhikara. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 22.31. Mam evaye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. Bhagavad Gita 7.14. This is the process. See, if we, it is impossible to overcome the material nature, but if we surrender to Krishna, it's easy, it's possible. Right? So it is a great science, meaning Krishna consciousness is a great science. Krishna consciousness movement is most scientific movement to get the whole human society from the pitch of darkness. Griham Andakupam, Griham Andakupam. Prahlad Maharaj was asked by his father, what have you learned most? I mean to say, the best thing that you have learned. He said, Hitvanda Kupam Hitvam Gatam Griham Andakupam Vanam Gata Yadarim Asrayeta. Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5.5. Tat sadumanye asuri varya dehinam sadasamudvigna diyam asatgrahat. So asatgrahat means a dark well. So when you're not Krishna conscious, you fall into this dark well, this pit of stool, and engaged in all kinds of illicit activities. The same thing, sada samudvigna diyam asatgrahat. The materialistic persons, they are always in anxiety. Tat sadumanye asura varya dehinam. Dehinam means not only human society. Anyone who has accepted this material body, even a small ant and the demigods, Indra and Lord Brahma, such big people, they are also living entities. And the ant is also a living entity, but by their pious activities, they have got big posts as demigods, prolonged life in many other facilities, but they are all living entities. So they're all jivas, right? We said they're all jivas, but they've attained these amazing powers because they engaged in Krishna consciousness, right? But they still have some problem. They want to dominate. But if they do their duties correctly, they'll develop this absolute love for the Lord. That's why when the demigods are in trouble, who do they go to? They go to Krishna. You know, on the bank of the Sweta Dweep, the beautiful ocean of milk, and they can't see the Lord, but they can hear Him.
They press the calling bell.
Yeah.
Calling bell is the Purusha Shuktam is the calling
Yes,
bell.
yes.
He said, whenever they are in thing, they press the calling bell. Calling bell is Purusha Shuktam is the calling bell to call the Lord.
Yeah, it's powerful prayer, right? So it says here, they are all living entities. So these living entities means everyone has got a material body. Material body means it will end. Antavanta ime deha, Bhagavad Gita 2:18. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said, however strong you may be for one, antavanta ime deha, it will end. You may run in the morning 3 miles and then take very stimulative food stuff, and everyone's trying to become very strong. That is good, but however strong we may be, even Hiranyakashipu, it is not possible to stay here. Hiranyakashipu became very, very strong. He ensured that he would not die in the daytime, at nighttime, and in the water, in the land, on the sky, not by any human being, not by any demigods, not by any animal, not by any weapon. Everything he ensured. That's all right. But God's policy is so nice that all his insurance, keeping aside, he killed him, not by weapon, by the nails. He forgot this, that I may be killed by the nails. Then he thought, I shall not be killed by any animal or man. So Nishingadev. You cannot say it is lion or man mixed. And he thought that he would not die in the daytime or nighttime, but he was killed in the evening. Actually, it's in dusk, between day and night. It is neither day or night. So he would not be killed in the sky, in the water, or in the land. So he was killed on the threshold, meaning on the lap of the Lord. Therefore, we should always remember that we cannot cheat God. There it is. We cannot cheat God. He is always at least a little more intelligent than us. So the conditioned soul, they want to cheat God. They want to deny God. They want to cheat God. That is not possible. In spite of all your insurance and cheating policy, you must have to die. That is stated in Bhagavad Gita. Mrityu aham sarvaharam. You do not accept me. You know, I'm not, well, this friend of mine, you know who he is. He has this medical fraud thing now. And he's advertising. His advertisement is, if you follow my system, then death will be optional. If you want to die, you can die. But if you don't want to die,
They take your stool and analyze.
yeah,
What is missing, they'll give you those.
they'll give you, yeah, exactly. So, see, this is all cheating, right? It's all cheating. Death will be optional. Nonsense. No death. You're going to die. Everyone's going to die. You cannot violate the laws of nature. Yeah, yeah, and big cheating, give people false hopes. Right? So therefore, it says, Prabhupada says, those who are not devotee, they will be agitated by Maya, by Madana, by Cupid, by so many other illusory things. But if one becomes Krishna conscious, then nothing can put them in illusion, because Krishna conscious person is not in want. In other words, he doesn't want anything. He doesn't want death to be optional, right? He doesn't want money. He doesn't want this. He doesn't want that. He just wants to use everything that Krishna gives him in the service of the Lord. So he gets everything, but he uses it in the service of the Lord, right? Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj advised that sada samudvigna diyam, those who are always agitated. Everyone is agitated. Samudvigna tat sadumanye asura varya dehinam. Anyone who has accepted a material body must be always agitated in mind. Sada. Why? Asatgrahat, because he has accepted this temporary body, he must be full of anxiety. It cannot be avoided. Asatgrahat. Asato ma asatgama. The Vedic injunction. Don't keep yourself in this temporary world or temporary body. You must go to the spiritual world, back to home, back to Godhead. This is Vedic injunction. Sadgama. Asatoma sadgama. Asatgrahat. If you accept this temporary material world, means temporary body. Dehinosmin yata dehe komaran yovanam jara. Bhagavad Gita 2:13. See how he's supporting every statement he's making with Bhagavad Gita verses and Srimad Bhagavatam verses. Right? This is real preaching. We are transmigrating from one body to another. This is asatgrahat. Why I shall transmigrate if I am eternal? Nahanyate hanyamane sarire, Bhagavad Gita 2:20. I am eternal, so this is intelligence. How I can get permanent body so that I may not have to change bodies one after another. This is intelligence, right? Intelligence is not, JavaScript or this plus or that plus or whatever. Intelligence is, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality, Godhead, and that I don't want to change my body one after another. I want to go back to Godhead in my spiritual body. There are many important words in this verse, and it can be explained for a long time. The one word is that stambayan atmana atmanam. Just like a thief is going to steal, he also tries to control him. I am going to steal. The after effect will be that I will be arrested and I will have to go to jail. And it is forbidden by Shastra and human laws, also state laws. So I am going to steal. There is risk. Actually, there is risk, but this consciousness beats him. But he cannot control. This is the position. So this is the position of everyone, every one of us. We have so many material desires, We're trying to control them, but we're not able to. So we give in to it, and it always puts us into trouble. So therefore, how can I get permanent body so that I may not have to change bodies one after another? This is intelligence. Okay, so let's stop right there. This is a fantastic lecture by Prabhupada. Yeah, I'm going to continue until the last breath. Haribol, Haribol, Haribol. Yeah, and now we know what PhD means. It means plow department.
Amazing that is like, I know, like Prabhupada's like, PhD is like explanation.
He's telling the truth. These guys are all phonies. They don't know what the heck they're talking about, Even the definitions that you read of words and concepts, they're all wrong. Right? Yeah. Once we realize this, then we say, oh, why am I going to waste my time, learning all this junk? Why don't I just focus on the real thing? The only thing that's going to save me from taking birth over and over again, right? Huh?
The Indians are the new crow.
New what?
New crow.
New
Crow.
Oh,
crow.
crows. Oh, yeah.
So the Indians are new crows. When a new crow comes to a garbage, it thinks the other crow will be sitting there. It knows that there is nothing. The new crows, when it comes, it thinks that there is something. It will be searching.
Oh, he already ate all the garbage, right?
See, other crow which already looked at everything, it knows that there is nothing is there.
Yeah, but
The new crow thinks that there is something, and then it's going to go. So Indians are new to the science and all these things.
You know what Prabhupada said? He said Indians will never be able to learn science like the Westerners. He said that. He said they'll never be able to do it. I can show you where he said that. He says that in a lecture. He said the British never taught them properly how to, get into science. I don't, it's, what does that mean exactly?
It's a blessing, actually.
Yeah, it's a blessing. It means that they Krishna is giving them an opportunity to not learn this nonsense the proper way, like the Britishers and the Europeans and the Americans. Anyway, we have to very carefully study Prabhupada's words.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
Maharaj, in this lecture, you read one line. Unless you can control your mind, unless you are able to control your mind not to be disturbed by Madana, there is no question of liberation or salvation.
Yes.
So my question is, for a neophyte, he's tolerating the mind, but how to be consistent in tolerating, like not suddenly getting disturbed sometime, but
Come to the class.
Constant hearing.
Come to the class every day.
Constant hearing is the only way.
Yeah.
I mean,
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. This Sevaya, this hearing, should be Nitya, not Sapta, not 7-day hearing, or 1-day hearing or half hearing. It's every day we have to hear, because our disease is we forget easily and we get attracted by Madan. Cupid shoots an arrow, go,
Regular hearing and reminding, then only we can stay. Otherwise, it's not possible at all.
Yeah. And you have to be in good association. Yeah. Bad association is destructive.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah. So you're hearing every day, right? I mean, do you see the effect?
Yes, Maharaj.
And if you stop hearing for some time, you see the effect also.
Yes, Maharaj.
Yeah.
On this topic, Prabhupada, the last video when we see it recorded where Prabhupada is translating Sadasat Yoni Janmashu, that verse, Prabhupada quotes Bhagavad Gita verse, and then he says, hence devotee should always keep good association.
Haribol.
That's a very, very powerful. You can see Prabhupada is like in the last stages,
Yeah.
and then he's completely.
Well, that's why you send your kid to school. They're not getting good association.
Prabhupada's body is completely emancipated, but his intelligence is so clear. is speaking with crystal clarity.
Those last purports are amazing. Yeah. Yes. Okay, so we'll have Guru Puja. Thanks, Srila Prabhupada. Jai. Gaur Premanandi.
Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma
Shri Guru Charana
Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma Bando Dana Mate Jahara prasade bai ye bhavatoriya jai prasade bai ye bhavatoriya jai Krishna prapti hoy jage hoy te Guru Muga Padma Vakya Chitete Koriya Aikya Muga Padma Vakya Chitete Koriya Aikya Arana Koriho Mane Asha Shri Guru Charane Rati Aise Uttama Gati Charane Rati Aise Uttama Gati Jai Prasade Pure Sarva Asha चक्षुदान दिलों से जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशितो प्रेम भक्ति जागा होते आविद्या विनाशा जाते वेदे गाय जघर चरितो श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु आदम जनर बंधु लोकेनाथ लोकेर जीवाना आहा प्रभु कोरो दया देखो मोरे पाद छाया ये बेजश गुशुक त्रिभुवाना शीला प्रभुपाद पतित पावाना जय प्रभुपादा 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 प्रष्टाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिन्यति नामिने विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रष्टाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिन्यति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Om Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Nitya Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitya Gaura Hari Bol
Jayom Vishnupad Paramahansa Pararajagacha Astatara Satarashi Shimad His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Hasta Kur Ki Jai Prem Chiko Ho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dan Ki Jai Shri Mayapura Dan Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dan Ki Jai Tulasi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Ganga Maya Ki Jai Jamuna Maya Ki Jai Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi all glories to some of the buddies all glories to some of the buddies all glories to some of the buddies all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Guru all glories to Srila Prabhupada Patita Bhavani Ki Jai Namaste Askatya Disatani Gaur Premanandi Haripol. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain the pure devotional service. I bow down to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, let me cross the ocean of suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates, by him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. The Master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, and the Lord and Master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto me. Give me the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the three worlds. We take shelter of his lotus feet. His divine grace, Prabhupada Ki Jai.